Oh, I did a lot with this reading today, but I ain't gonna tell you about it just yet. There's like a life path 8. I did jotted down some notes there. Did some notes there. Talked about life path numbers. Did some notes there. Trying to make sure I don't get... So there's a lot to go over and stuff. Without going over other people's stuff. And I kind of have scratchbook of information. Try to keep my readings into some sort of order. I did a little tiny bit of... make sure that you guys don't see that he ain't post too. So you see how we got the 8s in there? We got the 7. We got the ace. We got the queen. So all of our numbers came up today. This was mind, body, soul, home, health, hearth, wealth, and health. And then the oracle card pulled today on top of the numerology life path number 8. And then again, I just had a little bit more going on. I think I'm finally finished up with figuring out a little bit of what. So I'll just kind of roll that over with you at some point to show you what the read was. I didn't feel like doing a whole bunch today. Not sure I'll get this reading out, but it was really interesting because life path 8, infinite connection, the typical numerology analysis may have that lead as a 3-5. Others may have it lead as a 2-6. Either way, it winds up being 8. And just sort of understanding what is taught versus what I interpret, and sort of building a bridge between the two is interesting enough as it is. So they wanted to call 2-6 relationships something of a need for diplomacy, whereas they called the 3-5 experience a need for balance in your health. So either way, it comes up as 8, and that's infinite connection. So if I think about infinite connection, and I think about what gets us off balance inside of infinite, the pluses and the minuses to being a life path 8. The pluses are, an extreme ability to be in two worlds, like the spirit world and the physical world, or to be able to differentiate between two ideologies and find a medium ground, or find where they bridge together. The ability to have an all-knowing of what's coming, what's past, what's going, and where you're headed. So that brings us to the notion of where the imbalances occur, where we go astray, or where we can get stuck. In 8, because of its infinity capacity, we can sort of get very comfortable and stay very, we can go anywhere on the timeline and still know what's going on when we stay inside the 8. Because we have that ability to go in and out of things. But with that ability, we tend to stay there in that knowledge, in that knowing, in that infinite awareness. And we are so right with every perspective that we could possibly have, because we can see all perspectives coming and going, right and wrong. To go into a time of unknowing, which we are fully aware of because we know everything as 8s. We have the connection between the past and the present. We know what's going to come next. We know that 9 is chock full of a bunch of, lessons and clearing up everything so that we can get on to 10. So with that said, it's kind of like, who wants to go? Who wants to go into, the dark before the dawn? No matter what promises come with the dawn, we're quite content and happy here in the all-knowing. So that's where 8 can get us kind of stuck. And so when I think about, 2 being 2 eternity, showing up several times in our reading as 11 with the Jack, 2 eternity being a comprehension of dualities, whether it's male or female, passions and desires, and or mind and body, like the duality of working within 2 things. It's so pleasant when you can find that balance on either side. And then when you have something like 6, positive, absolute positivity, then yeah, of course you'd want to stay right there. Or for instance, if you have 5, it means you've accomplished so much. And if you have the magic, then you have the magic to see again beyond. So why would you want to go and figure it all out from there? It feels all-knowing. So anyways, that's how 8 can get stuck, right? And in that, we have our placement for numerology of the day, August 18th, 2025, but also sealing the fact that this reading could be for anybody with a life path 8 or resonance of 8 or 8 in their number line in any way, so that they can understand 8, born on the 8th, that sort of thing. Comes into play that within this particular numerology, they say, and it's sort of leading to the fact that because a 9 happens to occur in any way that you're doing the math, the numerology math, it's sort of an indication that it's a day that you want to avoid certain things, like transactions and, deals that you haven't really researched and stuff for several days in advance, that sort of thing. Just sort of, watch out for getting duped or whatever the case may be. Yes, that's what the office looks like. Oh, it's a mess. Anyhow. So, and then coming into mind, body, and soul, and what this reading sort of says to us, reflection and then starting over again. So this one's kind of interesting because it sort of leads to the notion that all the wisdom gained must be gained before you can take action. So the 10 going into the ace of spades. So you've got the wands, and that's sort of the wisdom, as I like to see it, and then the action by the knives, and then you have the home, health, hearth, health and wealth in a representation of minerals. So it sort of says, you know, before you can take the action to sustain the home, health, hearth, and wealth, you must gain the wisdom. So it really speaks to, you know, the undercurrents that come to the developments and things like that. So then if we're, you know, sort of looking at that line, then it's kind of like, you know, positive reflection, eternity, positive magical passion, magical desire, magical, again, honor, royal. So having care for, having an awareness of all things related to emotions, and all things related to passions, and all things related to desire, and sort of having a understanding of how to wield that out for the masses in her kingdom. And so you go from gaining the wisdom to taking the action to having positive actions sort of reflect you. And then we come into the next thing is 9. After we go from Queen, we went over to 9 of minerals. And so again, reflection, action, positive desire leads to, you know, something that will sustain you greatly with your minerals, home, health, hearth, because it's underneath, and then that comes up on top. And it's sort of like 9, the dark before the dawn, all the work that you do to gather your minerals, and that you're so close to being there. And then comes in the Jack. You know, you have, with every turn of events, going from 9 to Jack is, and you know, it's like somewhere in there was a 10, right? Somewhere in there was an achievement, and then the achievement started all over again, and you're back at the beginning. And so having this understanding of a youthful pleasure in your awareness of minerals, and your awareness of work, and your awareness of understanding value and the value of work. So then we have ace. So we went from taking the action after gaining all of the wisdom and returning to the wisdom of the body. Okay, so remember that mind, body. Okay, so then we have wisdom of body. So when we take action, when we take, you know, when we gather our wisdom and we take action, and we have take action to secure our body, take action to use that wisdom for our body. Hold the desire, the mental desire, because the mind is the greatest aphrodisiac, if you will, or the largest sex organ, as you will, or something to that effect about desire and passion and things like that, and without being too angry, without being too happy, you know, just really having a balance of emotions in that way as heart. So, leading us to this body wisdom that we want to gain. And so in connection to the body wisdom, we also have home health, hearth, wealth, and health in our association with wisdom as well. Okay, and that equals 8. And so 8 is our number of the day as well as soul. And so here you have all of the numbers already happening right in here. So body, home, health, hearth, wealth, and mind, you know, with steady desire, steady emotions, will secure the soul. It feels like that's saying, because right there, then it has the 8, and it sort of confirms, say, the soul with the day. We have harmony underneath, harmony of passion, harmony of wisdom, harmony of action. Okay, again, the 555 along with the 8, full nails, along with the 8, and then the dual, the 2, the jack, youthful. All right, so there's a lot that I wrote down that I'm not really saying, and I just wanted to give you an overview of what we're talking about, and I'll have a little stage 2 and really read it to you guys probably tomorrow, even though it'll be numerology 9 day. We'll still go over some of this stuff, but I like to figure out how to sort of change it up and make it a little more quicker for the experience, not make it an hour long. Right now it's just only been 17 minutes and it's roughly a quick read. But the goal is to say that, you know, the soul's popping out and it wants to be in balance. It's enjoying a youthful passion for accumulating home health, wealth, and hearth. It's talking about the ebbs and flows of, you know, the passions of the mind and the, you know, the wisdom and actions of the body, and how that can lead to home health, wealth, and hearth, and have a healthy understanding and a healthy balance of mineral when we utilize our passions and our wisdom to, you know, check our bodies in the beginning. You know, so as always, it's the same read. It's always the same read. It never not is. You know, trust your body to let you know what feels good in order to solidify your actions in, you know, other areas of your life. So your body is a huge tool to letting you know what your soul's trying to teach you, what your mind is, you know, asking, all that stuff. And so which actions to take. You know, here we want to take actions in our body, in our, we want to, you know, utilize action in our body and utilize our wisdom in our body. You know, we want to honor our power, you know, utilize our power in our home health, hearth, and wealth, and understand our minerals and use our wisdom discerningly. Likewise with our soul, you know, our mineral value and our wisdom is accumulated in many many paths that create harmonies. So right here we have 9 and 9, dark before the dawn, on the outside, sort of touching base with a 6. Okay, so I just want to show that those are the odd numbers out, but they still have desire, passion, emotion, mineral value. But then we have the 555s with the 2 7s. Okay, so we got 2 and 2 is 4 and 5 is 9. So we have another 9. So we got 999s going on if we want. But the 555 here is 15 is 3. And 3 magic resonates with the queen who holds magic. So it really has to sort of understanding that we can get stuck, as the 8 and the 5 have that relationship, and also with 9. 5 has a relationship with 9 in that it's an almost. It's a point where we're like, I'm almost there, if only I could just, and you sort of, lose desire to go forth. Or 9, you can get so lost that you forget or lack a passion or lack the understanding to know the value of going forth that one more cycle to learn. Or in the case of 5, the 5 more cycles, because it's a halfway point. You're almost there because it's the point, the leading tone, if you will, to the beautiful resonance of, and that's reflected once you gain all the values, leading to 10, and giving you an ability and a time to pause and reflect on what all of you learned, and that you may take and go forth from 10 back to 1, again and again and again and again. So just kind of understanding that 5 has that relationship to 9 in that almost factor, and then 5 has that relationship to 8 in that you can get stuck because you're in such a nice place. 5 tends to be harmonious, everybody's getting along, we have, come so far. All we got to do is, get ready to go again. And so we get stuck there, not getting ready to go because it's so pleasant. It's very nice here. And so in 8, we tend to get stuck as well because it's so nice knowing everything. And it's so nice having an absolute awareness of all that comes before and all that comes after. Sort of, similar to 5, you dread what's going to come next, similar to 8, you dread what's going to come next. So it's just about pushing on and making sure that you understand that what leads to soul happiness is achieving not just the 8 but the 9, and knowing that that's, even though that we have maybe already achieved home, health, hearth, and wealth, we still have so much more to achieve to get to all of the wisdom. Say we have the 8, the 7, the 1, we have a 5 representing how difficult it is to, and so perhaps we're trying to work on having the patience to steer our passions in the direction of wisdom, to continue to hold on to our youthful desires, to gain and ambitions and things like that in order to sustain our ever growth, so that we can have a balance of healthy action, wise action, valuable action, passionate action. Okay, and then we come over here and it talks very much, very similar to what this whole reading is about, which is to say, check your passions. Make sure that you're giving yourself a limitless forecast for yourself. Anytime you start getting afraid that something's going to prevent you, figure out how to cut that thought from you. Stop self-sabotaging in that way. So we'll talk more on that if necessary, but I think that's what it is in a nutshell. I can get into what all of these numbers mean if any you like. If you gotta give me some feedback or something like that to tell me which style you like. You want the quick version or you want the winded version? All right. Eternity, eternity to eternity, magical, sacred harmony, positive power, infinite connection, positive vertigo, positive and vertigo, positive and vertigo, reflection.